This is one of those jobs, I think, where you know, the guy was feeling right proud, went and told the boss, and they either gave him a medal or they shot him on the spot. Alright, so this is the carnage that's left over from the input shaft for that final drive. So that's the spline that the disc floats on, and there's a pair of tapered roller bearings at this end that were all chowdered up. So I tried to press them off. All that did was break the outside race. So at that point we were hooped, and I tried heating up the inner race and pounding them off. That didn't do anything. So I ended up having to cut them with the cutoff wheel and break them with a chisel, and they came right off. That's not a big deal for the bearings. They're standard taper roller bearings, but the sleeve here, there's a sleeve that the seal rides on, and it's a special part. So that's the this is the steer axle, completely removed from the machine. It's really not that hard to take it out. Just got to take these 8 bolts out of the pivoting pillow blocks, and the whole thing just drops right out. But here's the problem. As predicted, this is the hole where this spindle for the steering yoke is supposed to be installed, and I'll show you what I found. So these are the bearings here that go inside this yoke, and the top one's okay. Somebody has just beat the living hell out of this spacer between the bearings, and I don't know why. And then this bottom bearing, yeah, you see this discoloration and odd surface on the outside? That is the telltale sign, from my experience, that somebody tried to put Loctite on it. And yeah, I know everybody seems to think that Loctite is, you know, a permanent fix for a bearing journal that's worn, but it does not work. So this is the pin. It's all worn pretty badly where the bearings would sit, and then in its journal, it's, yeah, super sloppy. So also there's supposed to be a retaining ring or snap ring at the bottom of here. At the bottom, it goes in from the bottom like this. That was completely missing, so yeah, who knows. Ghosts of mechanics past. Alright, that's the power steering cylinder. So this end here mounts to the frame, and then this is that, you know, nice banana shaped drag link that we're looking at earlier. So yeah, take a look at their little repair here. It's pretty special. Somebody just globbed it with a weld, and I don't really know if it can be fixed or not. I'd have to grind all that weld off, somehow get this thing unthreaded, and figure out what the hell is going on. Probably what happened is they stripped the threads somehow, and it wouldn't hold tight. And then right here is the cut where the drag link is cut almost halfway through. And when I first saw this, I thought for sure that it was done intentionally, like somebody cut it with the torch or something in order to straighten it or something. I don't know. But now I think what the deal is that because of the slop in that steering yoke, it was hitting the fan belt. So this is the drive pulley for the fan belt, and yeah, that's my hunch anyway. All right, so now we're looking at the left side of the machine. This is where the fixed end of that power steering cylinder is supposed to be mounted, and you can see the ball right here. That's supposed to have a taper on it and fit into a socket, just like a standard ball joint. There's a plate that's been welded here, and then they actually welded the ball fast to that plate, so you actually can't even remove the cylinder the way that you're supposed to be able to. You're supposed to pop that ball out, and then the whole cylinder sucks out this way. But because they welded it permanently, you can't do that. And actually, if the engine was still in the machine, I wouldn't have been able to take that cylinder out at all. So, yeah, I don't even have any idea what that's supposed to look like. Yeah, I guess it would work, but it's not very pretty. I know it's easy to pick on the guy who came before you, but Jesus, this is one of those jobs I think where you know, the guy was feeling right proud, went and told the boss, and they either gave him a medal or they shot him on the spot. All right, here's some numbers that I put together for the project, and yeah, this is kind of the reality of like flipping a machine or flipping you know, buying something to flip or whatever. Yeah, this isn't a hobby for me. I purchased the machine hoping that I could fix it up and either use it to make some money or sell it for a profit, or hopefully both. That's what I've done pretty successfully with the machine tools in the past. You know, I'll buy a fixer-upper it, use it for a year, maybe 2 years, and then sell it for a little more than I paid for it, and basically have a free machine. So let's start at the top. Yeah, I paid $1,000 for the machine. Cost me $650 to transport it. Battery, oil, battery cables, etc. About $100. I bought the second non-cracked 245 motor for $150. And then the rest of these things I'm just estimating. So the parts to fix the brakes, I'm estimating $350. I think that's probably a little light because chances are the calipers are going to be screwed up. You know, there's been water in the system. Those are cast iron calipers. If the bores are pitted, we're going to have to replace them. The bearings that I showed that were destroyed in the final drive, I'm figuring $200. That's probably pretty light too. Those are big bearings. Parts for the steering, assuming I can fix it, I still need to probably reseal the cylinder. You can see how nasty and greasy it is. It's leaking everywhere. So need a seal kit for the cylinder, probably a seal kit for the valve, and then yeah, I got to make parts for that drag link or whatever. Something's got to be done to fix that. And then the bearings for the yoke, sleeve, weld, bore, etc. I don't know. The radiator leaks. I'm figuring $350 to fix that. I don't know. I haven't gotten a quote on that yet. Machining the engine, depending on what they find out is wrong, I'd say around $700. Probably going to fix it. Engine parts rebuild kit, probably be about $700. And then the front tires are completely junk on the machine. They need to be replaced. I don't know what that's going to cost. I'm just estimating $500. So not counting the $650 that it cost me to transport it here. You know, I can't count that because it would have cost me that to transport any machine. I come up with $4,250 as far as actual money that I need to put down in order to fix the machine. And I think that's probably pretty light because there's other things I'm not showing here. The seat is bad. There's parts for the engine, like the front cover gasket, the rear seal, the flex plate. Those things are Clark specific parts that I'm going to have to buy from a dealer. The other problem too is that there's no Clark dealer in my area anymore. There used to be one, and about 3 years ago they closed. So the nearest Clark dealership for me is about 2 hours away, and I have not even inquired yet about whether I can get parts or not. So moving on, up here in this side here is my estimate as far as hours. So I'm estimating 8 to 12 hours to fix what's wrong with the steering. That's probably pretty light. I could easily double that. 6 to 8 hours to fix the brakes. You know, once again, depending on what I find with the caliper. Engine assembly, 15 hours. And then assembling everything back to the machine, another 12 hours. So that's 36 hours. Assuming $50 an hour, $1,800 in labor. I probably have more than that, maybe twice that in the machine already, as far as disassembling and troubleshooting, and yeah, you can really wrap up a lot of time in these projects. So yeah, $1,800 I could probably easily double that to $3,600. So, alright, so if I look at, so let's just say we use the numbers that are on the board here, $4,250 for parts and the initial purchase of the machine, plus another $1,800 for the labor. That would be what, $6,050. So I would have to be able to sell the machine for $6,050 in order to break even on the parts and be compensated for just the time that is on the board. That doesn't count any of the time that I've spent so far. And just for comparison, I did some shopping around. Within a 3-hour drive, there's a couple other machines like this one in the 12,000 pound capacity. One's even the same model, and these are running driving machines, you know, that are also used, and they're selling for about $3,500. And I looked at some dealer sites. Machines that have had some work done to them are selling in the $6,000 to $8,000 range. So yeah, it would be a real stretch for me to be able to get that kind of money out of it, even if I could advertise it as having a rebuilt motor, rebuilt steering, rebuilt brakes, etc., etc. I just don't know if I could get that kind of money back out of it. So that brings us to this column down here. So right now, scrap prices are pretty low, but I think that they're about $110 a ton. I think that if I keep the motor and some of the forks and a few other things, I'd still have about 7 tons of scrap metal. So that'd be $770. I figure I can rebuild the one good motor and sell it for $2,500. So minus the $1,400 in outside machining and the rebuild kit. Sell the forks for $200. Sell the cylinders for maybe $100 a piece. Transmission for $250. So if you tally all that up, it's $2,630. So I can basically take this $2,630 and apply it to the 3 things here that I've already spent money on, or 4 things, sorry, and I could basically walk away with a little bit of a profit. So it's kind of a sad end for the machine, but I just don't know if it's worth fixing it. I don't know if the hydraulics work. I don't know if the transmission works. I never saw it run. I never saw it drive. My fear is that I could get this engine all rebuilt, install it in the machine, put the steering all back together, put the brakes all back together, fire it up and find out that the transmission is bad, or the hydraulic system is bad, or it leaks everywhere, all the cylinder seals are bad. So I just don't know if it's worth the risk. So I guess I'll put this out there and see what other people think. These videos don't get a lot of viewers. You know, it's kind of hyper specific. But let's say that this video gets 40 views, and assuming that I'm of average intelligence, which is kind of a big assumption, that means that at least 20 people that are going to watch this video, just on sheer probability, are going to be smarter than me. So maybe they can chime in and see and we'll see what they have to say about it. So right now it's not looking too good for the future of the machine.